Okay, guys. I'm going to go to Ask Scruff. Now, there's two questions on it. One I've already kind of answered with type, but I'll touch on it in this. And then the main question is for Crispy. Little salute to you, kid. It's a very interesting question that Crispy's brought up. And it's about end of week trading, end of month trading. Hence why I'm going to answer the other question at the same time, because it's Friday. The easiest thing is for me to show you and then explain. So I'll start at the bottom one for Cully. Today's Friday. It's a news heavy day. I'm guessing the smart play will be keep the laptop shut and come back on Monday afternoon. Correct. If you can avoid trading Friday. Friday is by far and away the worst day of the week to trade. Okay? This isn't me saying it. This is heavily documented. And when it goes into Friday afternoon, the only people that are really there are just gamblers and retail traders. That's it. So essentially it's a shit show. And you need time off. And if you can't do that, well, I think people pretty much know my feelings on that. So across to the next one, which is Crispy. Now this is an interesting question and it ties into the bottom one. I'll explain as I'm going. Odd question regarding end of week, end of month trading. As it's coming to the end of the month, do you start weighing in the monthly candle into your bias more when looking at a top analysis? I.e., last month closed in buyer's favour and the market has come to the end of the month and the candle is shown dominance. But this is the point. You see, it's coming to the end. It hasn't ended. That's the main thing. Now, when you do a top-down analysis, what you are essentially doing is law of averages across multiple time frames. Now, in order to get a realistic snapshot of data, the candle has to close. Now, with the monthly candle, yes, the buyers had hold of it last month when we're looking at certain markets. And this month, the sellers seem to have it. But it isn't the end of the month. It's the 29th. There's still at least all of today. And if you're on a 30-day a month, all of tomorrow. And then if you're on a 31-day a month, all of the 31st. So you could potentially have 3 days. A market can change dramatically in the last sort of throw of its life. And you could have a black swan event. And it could easily change the dynamic. It's rare, but it can be done. But then if you take into the law of averages on the time frame as well, so that's your starting point, then you're putting in your indicators that you sort of look at, or candle patterns, whatever it is that you do to do an analysis. As you know, I use 3 indicators and I do law of averages through them. Well, the candle is the starting point that is closed, but the indicators are in the moment. So if there is a change of sentiment, well, if the 3 indicators say something is going down, but the starter was going up, by definition, it will show you that it's selling. But what if the indicators are also buying? So the candle that's currently in motion could show red, but the indicators are starting to show the buyers are still coming back into play. And what that's really telling you is that red you saw was just a pullback. But now it's starting to resume the trend. So that's kind of why I keep it in fixed. Now, as you go down through the time frames, it just balances out. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, because one of the things that is difficult, and there's only really one candle that I would preempt, just one, and that's the 4-hour. And why? Because you can see it in the motion and one thing and another. So if I check it at 8 o'clock in the morning when the last one closed, the next time I'm really checking it is at 12 o'clock. Now, again, the indicators are in the moment, actually in the sort of what you're seeing at the time. But say it's 5 to 12 and you're looking at the candle and it's massive, right? Nice big chunky candle. The chances of it changing is pretty slim. So I'll go with the current candle. But that's roughly the only time I would do it. Normally, I'm looking at the last close candle. So just to give an example on that, just to clarify, 4 hour is the only one that I would preempt. If I start checking at 9 o'clock, well, the last one closed at 8, so it's going to be stable. It'll be the same at 10 o'clock, stable, close. 11 o'clock, I'm still looking at the 8 o'clock close. But when I come into midday, I'll look at the state of play as it is now, because it's literally only got a couple of minutes left to go. But before I go to market to trade, I will keep an eye on it and make certain that nothing happened. There was no black swan event or anything like that, which the chances are nil. But when it comes to the daily, weekly, monthly, I'll rely solely on the close. Now, these are just rule sets that I have. And why I say it's an interesting question is because what you start to do is you might teach yourself to second guess the market. And that's a big no-no, because you should always trade what you see. That's it. The moment you start saying, well, I think, well, that's assumption. And assumption is the mother of all. I nearly swore there, boys and girls, because I'm trying to be good and not swear. I'm not really doing very well at it, but I am trying, okay? Who knows? Who knows? But yes, if you trade what you see all the time and you follow a law of averages all the time, it'll smooth out. And then what you see at the end of that should be good, because it's the old thing. If you take out all of the bad elements, whatever's left, no matter how improbable, must be good. And that's the way that I work. So I take all of the probabilities out of the equation and the little variables to narrow it down, and whatever I'm left with, that's my trade. And then it's just a case of managing it correctly. Because you can have two traders with opposing positions. One's buying, one's selling. They're both correct. Just one of them has to wait a little bit longer than the other. Because if it's buying, the buyer's going to win, but that buy will top out and then it'll start to sell. The seller will win. The only thing that they both need is patience. That's it. So I hope that answers it in a roundabout way. I genuinely do. Keep these Ask Scruffs coming, guys, and I'll answer them the best I can. What you've got to remember is it's only my perspective. You know, it's just what I personally do and personally see. And it's up to you guys how you trade. If you feel that you need to manipulate things, fine. But always have a steady plan, a known plan as to what you do. I stick to my rules religiously and I don't break them. You know, it's like my madness rules. 1, 2, 3, I'll hold into profit or target. You know, that's what I do all the time. 4, I'm looking roughly to get out, but get out with some meat on the board near where I've originally got in. And 5, I just want out. So that's a rule set that I stick to. I stick to another set of rules. If I'm looking to place a stop, I want 2 barriers between me and the price. One is the mental barrier, the other one is the physical stop. So I've always got a protection. Then I've got another set of rules. I ask, can I afford it? Well, I should know that before I even press the button. And is it worth it? So I can do a full analysis of a trade and sort of go, this is what I would do, and I'll work it out as to exactly what I would do, and I'll talk it in my head as if I'm going to take the trade. And then I ask that simple question. Is it worth it? Well, if it gets to 4 pips and below, no, it isn't worth it. If an ATR is below 60, no, it isn't worth it. There is an exception to the rule on that, which is euro-dollar, because it moves regardless. But any other asset, no. And what this starts doing is, again, it's law of averages. I'm averaging down into what is the best asset to trade. And sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. So you can work out your trade and just think, yeah, this is exactly what I would do, but it ain't worth it. So therefore the trade is no trade. And that's what keeps you profitable. And you just continue to do these things over and over. Hope it helps. Anyway, if you're stuck, give me a shout. I'm always about.